Can the ghost of Ulysses Grant save us from an economic catastrophe? Hello, I'm Steve Forbes, and this is What's Ahead, where you get the insights you need to better navigate these turbulent times. We think of Ulysses Grant as a great Civil War general, but later, as president, Grant successfully waged a big battle, almost totally forgotten today, that was crucial in enabling the U.S. to become the greatest economic colossus in history. And that fight has enormous relevance today as the Federal Reserve, the White House, and Congress play with fire when it comes to future inflation and economic stagnation. During the Civil War, the U.S. suspended the gold standard and printed globs of dollars, dubbed greenbacks, to pay the costs of waging the conflict. This naturally led to inflation, which almost always comes with big wars. The excess money helped fuel a post-war boom. When the bubble burst, Congress passed legislation dubbed the Inflation Bill to massively increase the money supply in response to a severe economic downturn. Grant was under massive pressures to sign. He later said, and I quote, "I was never so pressed in my life to do anything as to sign that bill. Never," end of quote. But the more he examined it, the more doubtful he became. Igniting inflation and debasing the dollar would undermine the foundations for a genuinely prosperous future. His powerful veto message prevented an override, and he even got Congress to pass legislation firmly putting the U.S. on the roll to resume the gold standard, which the dollar had been on since the days of George Washington. The prospect of a stable dollar reassured investors at home and abroad. Grant did pay a price politically short term, but as Grant's foremost biographer, Pulitzer Prize winner Ron Chernow, put it, and I quote, "In this way, Grant's decision set the stage for America's emergence as the world's supreme industrial power," end of quote. Today, even though the banking system is loaded with lendable cash, overall corporate balance sheets are lavishly liquid, and consumer savings are at record levels, our central bank is still printing massive amounts of money by buying $120 billion in bonds and mortgages each month. It pays for these securities from dealers by crediting their accounts with money the Fed creates out of thin air. The Fed is using an unprecedented gimmick to stave off even more inflation by in effect borrowing back from the banks and other financial institutions the new money it had just created. These borrowings, many are no longer than a few days in duration, now total over $1.2 trillion. How long can this treacherous game go on is anybody's guess. But despite some hiccups, Democrats are determined to ram through trillions of dollars of more new spending, which means more money printing and more inflation next year. If Washington politicians and central bankers genuinely want an opportunity-rich America with a rising standard of living for all, General Grant's example will show them the way. I'm Steve Forbes. Thanks for listening. Do send in your comments and suggestions, and I look forward to being with you soon again.